Hi, everybody. Yeah, welcome to our first time online bully proofing workshop, where this is going to take on a kind of a different approach where you guys get to ask questions with your parents or on your own, and we're just going to do our best to give you some information and share some ideas. I wouldn't think of these answers as being something that is like you can take to the bank. It's not going to be perfect. They're just going to be a start to giving us some information and ways to navigate the world of bullies. Also, Mary, our facilitator, is going to be directing those questions and helping me out. She will occasionally read a question that's come in through an email that is an anonymous question. And we only have about 60 minutes. So we're just going to do our best. I'm just going to start off with saying that I am super excited about being here with you because I really feel that the whole concept around bullying can be looked at it in a different way. Rather than bullying being kind of a tragedy and a horrible thing, bullying is actually a great opportunity for us just to learn and grow. And it's because of bullies that we often can address some of the major fears that we have and create understandings and skills that help us throughout our life with everything. So I'm not saying, yeah, we want more bullies and let's learn how to be bullies. I'm just saying that there have always been bullies in the world, and it doesn't seem like it's something that's going to go away, but it has drawn a lot of attention lately, and it's something that we can do globally in our communities and certainly within our families to learn how to deal with bullies and how not to be bullies. So let's get started. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Tao approach, and then within about a minute or two, we're going to be fielding questions. So get comfortable, kick back, grab a glass of water, take notes if you wish, and let's get going. So the first thing I'd like to mention is that what we're doing is we're addressing this from a Tao approach. And what I mean by a Tao approach is Tao is the way, it's your way, it's a middle kind of approach. And over the years, we've developed this approach that with bullying, it's not so much about you learning how to change or manipulate the bully so that they disappear in your life. It's more about you changing you learning about how to be a better version of you so that either the bullies are not attracted to you as much or that you can handle them with ease. And the last and most important factor is that bullying becomes a learning opportunity rather than an opportunity that impacts you negatively and ruins your self-esteem and your confidence. So the approach here is one of optimism and one of positivity that we can change ourselves. We can't always change the bully. We can influence bullies. We can help them understand that what they're doing is hurtful. We can actually educate them, and this needs to be done. Just like most of us have been bullies at one point or another, whether it's subtle bullying like stealing the remote control from your younger sibling, or pushing and shoving, or just being mean, to the bullying that's really prevalent sometimes in schools that's really very, very harmful and excluding to kids. But we will try and look at that from the standpoint of what can we do, what can we control, because we can't control bullies. We can influence them, but we don't have a way of just saying, hey, we can give you a pill, you're cured of bullying. It doesn't work that way. What we can do is learn about ourselves, and through that we can change and hopefully change how we view our environment. So I'd like to again reiterate that we are going to be trying to field a lot of questions in 60 minutes, and I can't spend 80% of that time on one or two questions. That would be unfair to the whole group. So we're going to try and hit each question and give some of the basics. And then we really invite parents and students to email me at chris@taopeace.com. So it's chris@taoofpeace.com, or call me. And you can call me directly on my cell at 403-464-0002. And you can talk to Mary in the office if any of these contacts get lost. But you can get hold of me, and I do online Zoom workings and sharings and counseling with students all the time with regards to bullying. And then we can really address your particular concern and go into great depth and really enjoy and have fun with it. And it may take more than one session. And these sessions are free. There's no cost to them. So please feel free to take that opportunity. So now let's go back to Mary. And Mary, let's go to our first question from our audience.
Thank you. All right. So again, if you have any other questions other than what I'm reading from the emails, please feel free to type them into the chat. So our first question is, how do you deal with a friend who one day says they don't want to be your friend anymore, and then while at school continues to pass you by and slam their shoulder into you? And then they say, "Oh, sorry," very sarcastically with a smile.
Thanks, Mary. This is like so typical. I hear this question so often throughout the years. Remember, when kids are learning life, they're learning how to be a friend. And in that learning, they often learn not to be a friend. They make big mistakes. One of those mistakes is treating people roughly and crudely, rudely, excluding them, in general, just being unpleasant and mean in order to gain allegiance or to gain popularity with other children. So sometimes they just feel that's the way they need to go. They need to make friends with this group, and in order to do that, they need to make fun of you or put you down. This is a common thing, and it's very, very painful to you. And we don't want to undermine that pain. Like it is tough and it's emotional to have a friend one day who the next day is not your friend. Friends don't treat each other that way. And so, but it happens. And it doesn't mean that they're a horrible person. They too will make mistakes. Adults make this mistake, and so you can see why younger kids could easily fall into this trap of, choosing sides. It's like always having best friends. I want you to be my best friend and not to be other people's best friend. It's like trying to secure friendship. And that's a hard thing to do, because the harder you hold on to your friends, the more they slip through your fingers. It's important for you in this situation, and for any kid who's going through this, and almost all of us in our lifetime will have gone through this, where friends turn on us, is to try and just let it go. If you can, forgive them. You're not forgiving them for being mean. You're forgiving them so you can let go of it. So you can say, all right, here's some of the things I've learned at the Tao, and maybe in my community, maybe in my church group from my parents. I need to be able to let go of taking these things personally. They're not always about me. This kid could be going through a difficult time. They may be scared. They may have all sorts of issues going on. So try not to take it personally. And if a friend decides not to be a friend, you can still be friendly towards them, because they may change. They may turn around on a dime, just like they did before, where they were your friend one day and not the next. It can actually come back where they're your friend again. They have a better chance of coming back to you if you don't burn the bridge by just saying, I never want to see you again. I don't like you. Leave me alone. But you can be friendly and yet speak the truth. You're treating me poorly, so if that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. And I don't need to try and hang around you. I can just be on my own, do my own thing, and seek out people who enjoy my company. So be aware of them. Be aware that they may collide with you in the hallway. Try and have a heads up on that. Try not to show them that their rejection of you is hurting you to the core. By doing that, two things are happening. One is you're showing them that they can't control you and they can't control your happiness. You can choose to be happy with them in your life or not in your life. Number two, it's practice for you when you take that rejection and say, Yeah, they're rejecting me, but I don't have to reject myself. I don't have to get down on myself. I don't have to lose my happiness. I can choose to be happy even though I have a friend who's gone rogue and is not treating me well. So those are just a couple of things to start with. And again, we can go into this in more depth if you wish later at some other time. So thanks for asking that question. It's an excellent one. And I'm going to go back to Mary.
Hello, sir. We just had a question put into the chat. Why do people tell rumors about you?
I think when people tell rumors, they're trying to create that environment which is going to support them in building themselves up by putting other people down. So for example, let's say I want to be the popular one in my classroom or at my school. If I can start to narrow the field of people that are going to be popular by creating a rumor that's putting someone down. So often rumors are created about people who are already popular or who have a following or who have lots of friends, and someone wants to destroy your reputation. They want to make you look bad in front of everybody. Your young kids and adults make the mistake sometimes of believing a rumor without validating it with facts and information. They just go, oh, I heard this about you. An example that I use in the book is a kid who's at school and there's rumors about their parents having lost their jobs or being an alcoholic or whatever, and they're trying to actually put the kid down by putting the parents down. And it's sad that people resort to rumors, but it's a common bully tactic. So one thing is to realize that knowledgeable friends who know how to be real friends don't necessarily believe in rumors. And if they do believe in the rumor, it's a learning experience for them when they find out that it was just a rumor and that they had acted on it poorly and had decided to exclude you in their life because of something that they heard that wasn't validated. Often, sometimes when people have rumors about them, they go out of their way to defend themselves against those rumors. And that is certainly a way that you can go. You can challenge that rumor and say these things aren't true. And to a certain extent, that can be powerful, it can be helpful. But if you're spending all your time trying to squash rumors, then sometimes it speaks that you're being so defensive that other people actually start to believe in the rumors. So it's important that you know that you can defend, or you can just let the rumors go and just keep being yourself. Because if there's that rumor out that you're a liar, but everybody else's experience of you is that, wow, they don't lie. I haven't noticed that. Eventually the rumor itself becomes false. And then the rumor gets transferred back to the person who's spreading the rumor. And people go, you know, I believed in the rumor, but now there's nothing here to back up that rumor. My friend is not that way. And so I don't believe what you're saying. Rumors will eventually backfire on the bully. They almost 100% always do, given time. So one of the things you do when someone's setting rumors about you is you continue to be the best person that you can be. And you squash the rumor with your own character, with your own caring and kindness of others, and just doing what you think is right. Let's go back to Mary.
I like that part where you say just be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, it really helps, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, it's something that we can do all the time, but particularly through rumors, it's a valuable thing. There have been leaders throughout history who have become quite famous because they've helped so many people who have had horrible rumors spread about them. And they've been persecuted and they've been put down. And over time, their character just took over and squashed those rumors.
That's great.
What's our next question, Mary?
I have been excluded on a social chat group that I used to be a part of with my friends. What should I do or say to these kids who excluded me?
Thank you. There is, the closer to home the bullying is, in the sense of it's really close friends that all of a sudden seem to be rejecting you, excluding you, putting you down, or you're just feeling ignored. It can really feel painful, because it's like often we create this story about ourselves, our identity, our worth. We start to think about, why are we good or important or valued based on what other people think of us. And it's unfortunate, but we see this played out in movies all the time, where there's this really cool kid in a movie, and they're like every kid. Every kid is a cool kid. If they're being themselves, if they're being kind and loving, they're really cool in the sense that they have the courage to be themselves. And people are always drawn towards kindness and love, humor. Those are the things that make people feel like they want to be around you. And when people want to be around you, you feel good, because you feel like, hey, obviously if people want to be my friend, then I must have some worth. But that's a little bit of a trap. So yes, there's probably always going to be somebody in the world that loves you. But there's also going to be people in the world that don't. And it's a fairy tale. It's an untruth to believe that people are always kind, or that they're always going to be kind and take your feelings into account. Typically, bullies are scared. They're fearful about something, or they're in a lot of pain, even if they don't even realize it. And so they lash out and they reject people, and they go into groups and then take that group and try and put other people down. So your friends that were in that chat group, if all of a sudden they're putting you down, what I would suggest you do is two things to start with is, one, don't take it personally, move on. There's more people out there. There's more fish in the ocean. There's more friends to make, and that you're not always going to be able to be friends with everybody. Number two is take a look at what you can learn from their rejection. So instead of me being hurt and physically thinking I have no self-worth because people are rejecting me, I can say, what can I actually learn from this? Maybe you're going to discover some real golden gems here. For example, you might discover that in the group, you dominated the conversation. You took over, you spoke the most. And so you didn't give other people a chance. And so instead of them being honest and explaining that to you, which would have been the kind thing, they're fearful that you're just going to continue that behavior. And so they start to exclude you. So sometimes we're excluded and it's something that we're doing. And sometimes we're excluded and it has nothing to do with us. Either way, we don't want to take on that victim mentality that it's hopeless, and that because other people don't think we're cool, that we're not cool, or that other people don't see value in us, that we're not worthy. That is the trap. That's a falsehood. It's more important about what you think about yourself, but it's also equally important that you learn as much as you can from bullies, because they're going to teach you some valuable things. For example, when I was being bullied because of my crooked teeth and other things, I didn't learn from it at the beginning. I just took offense. I got mad. I got angry. I bullied back. I ran away. I cried a lot. I did all those things. And it was because I was in the victim mentality, thinking that I had no control, and that the bully had all the control. When in fact, it's the opposite. The bully has no control over me unless I give them permission, unless I give up my self-worth to them and say, you're in charge of it. And they're not. So when kids started calling me crooked teeth, in the beginning, I got upset. But after a while, with some coaching, I learned that having crooked teeth has nothing to do with being worthy or not. I could have the straightest teeth in the world and be the meanest kid on the planet. And I could have teeth that are coming out all over the place and be really loved because kids find me kind and funny and nice to be around. So when I learned that, then I started to realize that they were just pushing a button that I felt badly about. I felt bad about having crooked teeth. Now I still have those crooked teeth, but I don't feel bad about it. So I could feel bad about being too tall, too short, too thin, too fat, unpopular, wearing glasses, whatever it is. That is not who you are. And bullies teach us that. So when these people negate you on the chat line, what can you learn from it? And how can you not take it personally and move on? There's more to this. Again, we could chat more if you wish. Thank you. And I'll go back to Mary for another question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We do have another chat question. So you were saying you don't give people permission to bully you. However, what happens if someone physically bullies you, like pins you down and hits you?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really awesome question as well. It's amazing. I try and distinguish that between bullying and assault, but assault includes bullying. So if we look at bullying from the very basics, really slight teasing, right up to they're on top of you and punching you in the face, which I would call physical assault. All of that, from the light teasing to someone trying to take your life, involves emotional bullying. And then when it gets physical, I throw it in as assault. So if someone is assaulting you, physically punching you, kicking you, I first of all think it's really important that you deal with it as an assault. Because when kids get away with it and they can physically hurt you and they're not being taken to task with it, it can escalate and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So the bully's not getting help and you're not being protected. And you need to try and protect yourself in a large number of ways, not in just one way. When you're being physically attacked, I think at that point you need a team of people to help you, all right? So it'd be like a football team where if I'm the quarterback, I got my whole front line protecting me against the people that are trying to come in and tackle me and take me down. And so your team can be people like teachers. And some students, I had a question where the student was saying they didn't feel like their teacher would do anything to help them with bullies. And you might be surprised, you could still maybe approach them. And I understand that sometimes teachers are as afraid as other adults because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to help, so sometimes they just turn a blind eye to it. They're afraid that they can't do anything as well. But there's a whole slew of teachers, usually that can, and there's principals and counselors and people in your church and your parents and so on and so forth in your community. And there's also me. I'm happy to be on anybody's team to help them. Because when we have a team, we have all these resources. We have a group of people that are there. They're called allies to help you learn from your bully and to protect you against a bully. So we could say, just join a martial arts class and learn how to block and punch, how to kick, and fight back that way. And there's a time when I think fighting back and protecting yourself is valuable, it's useful, it's warranted. In fact, I'd even say it's kind. But not fighting is also all of those things. If you can not fight, that I think is the best thing you can do. If you are forced into protecting yourself, I call that self-defense. I don't call that fighting. Now you're only using as much force, as little violence as possible, but only enough force in order to protect yourself or to protect others. And I personally think you have the right to do that. And, but you have to make up your own mind on that. So I had a bully threatening me all the time in grades 5 and grade 6, to the point where I didn't want to go to school. I was sick to my stomach, almost throwing up every morning. And my mom said, only you, Chris, can get over this pain. So I was in pain every single day trying to avoid the bully. And once I just faced the bully and risked getting beat up, and he did try and beat me up and threw punches and everything, me just facing him deterred the bullying, and eventually he just stopped bullying me. If you're being physically hurt and assaulted, I would recommend that you document this, that you tell your parents, that you notify your teacher, principal, and if it is where you're actually being physically hurt, black eyes, split lips, you're being kicked, this is serious, you could get really hurt, then I think you need to take it also to the police. Document, have your parents write down the day, the time, exactly what happened, and keep a note of all these things, because it's very valuable to police resource officers, to school administrators, to your parents, that you have a document of all the incidents that have happened. Ignoring it, hoping it'll go away, protects the bully from getting the help that the bully needs, the constraints and the responsibility the bully needs to take in order for them to change. And sometimes that means the police need to go to their house and even look at charging the bully with assault. So these are things that often in the past haven't been done, because we've said boys will be boys, girls will be girls, they will bully each other, people will be people, they will bully each other. And then it's just part of life. But not dealing with it actually says it's okay, and it's not okay. So if we're going to stand up to bullies, yes, there's a risk. There's a risk of getting physically hurt. So take the time to travel in packs. Have that team. If you know the bully is in this part of the school, don't go there alone. Don't go into washrooms alone. Don't be an easy target for the bully to get at you. Be aware of where the bully is in your environment. And if you can't avoid them, have a plan to speak up, be vocal, make eye contact with the bully, so that they don't think you're being so weak that it encourages their attack on you. I'm not saying that you are the reason they're attacking you. No, I'm just saying they have to take that responsibility, but do things to protect yourself. And one of the biggest one is, again, develop that team. One more time, teachers, parents, other kids, police resource officers. These are all people that can be allies to help you be protected and to continue to learn from the bully rather than being beaten up. Thanks, Mary.
All right, so we have 3 questions in the chat and another email as well. So we'll go, how do you make friends with somebody who is being mean to you?
Well, there's a lot of possibilities that you can do. I'm going to start off with ones that I don't like. You can completely ignore them. I'm not saying I don't like it. It's a tactic that has worked for centuries and centuries. Ignoring the person, making them feel like you just don't care what they have to say, you don't acknowledge them, they kind of don't exist to you, all right? And it can actually work, but I find that in the long run, it can escalate the bullying. So the bullying might go from slight teasing to more like taunting and getting in your face and trying to make fun of you or excluding you in groups. It can even go to physical bullying, like, you know, punching and pushing and shoving and stuff like that. And that's because the bully sometimes is teasing you because they don't have friends and they're just trying to bully people to get attention. Sometimes they want to reject you before you reject them. And by ignoring the bullying, in a sense, you're rejecting them. So that's one thing you can do. You can ignore them. It's not a bad tactic. I think it's sometimes overdone. One of the things when a person is trying to just be mean to you is to not be mean back. When they say you're a jerk or something much worse with profanity, swearing. If they're being really rude and mean to you, just looking them in the eye and saying, oh, sorry you feel that way, have a nice day, and then walk on. You're not being mean back. You're still leaving the door open to being friends, and you're showing them that you're strong. You're showing them that you, regardless of how others perceive you, how others think about you, you think good about yourself. That doesn't mean that you think you're the best or that you never make mistakes. It just means that you feel you're worthwhile. And I think that everybody on the planet should feel that way, because everybody is worthwhile. Everybody has that capacity to be a good person simply by being kind and thoughtful. And so if you can do that, you're as worthy as anybody who has ever lived, past, present, or even in the future. You're just as important as anybody else. And that's not I'm egotistical, self-centered. That is just the truth. You're no less and you're no better than anybody. And having that kind of attitude when someone's mean to you, hey, sorry you feel that way. I've actually had the experience of when someone is yelling and screaming at me and bullying me, that I go, I'm sorry you're feeling that way. And when they continue to yell and scream at me, I say, why are you spending so much time with somebody that you don't like? And right away, that question, why are you telling me that I'm an idiot and spending time with me when you could be with somebody else? And right away, they kind of go, deer in the headlight look, and they realize they're just trying to be hurtful. And so at that point, when they're trying to be hurtful, but you're not taking on the hurt, then you're bully proof. It's like I can give you a gift, but you don't have to unwrap it. You don't have to accept the gift. So if the gift is a smelly pile of dung and reindeer poop, and you don't really want the gift, you can say, thanks, I really appreciate that. Maybe I'll use it in my garden, but I'm not accepting that gift. And the bully can give you all sorts of mean gifts. You don't have to take them. If you choose to unwrap the gift, it's because you're going, I can learn something about this. The bully's being mean to me. They're calling me, let's say, thoughtless. They're calling me a bully. They're calling me mean. Then I could say to the bully, thanks. Why am I mean? Like, can you explain how I'm being mean? And they might go, Chris, you pick that kid last every time there's a game. You exclude that person all the time, and that they're my friend, and you treat them like dirt. And then I might go, wow, I didn't notice that. You're right. Thank you. I can change. And that will turn that bully into your friend, but it's also turned them into your mentor. You learn something from them. And it takes a big person. It takes a really confident person, someone who really cares about themselves, to learn from other people, even when those people are being nasty. Don't take it personally. What can you learn? Move on. You don't have to be mean back. Hey, have a nice day. And away you go. Thanks, Mary.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to go to the email question. During recess, kids in my class sometimes exclude me from games. We have to cohort at school, and we play together every day. Usually we play games like soccer or gaga ball. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. They don't pass me the ball, or they try to get me out right at the start of the game so that they can play without me. Sometimes I feel invisible. Sometimes I disagree with them and whether they got me out, but they don't care. They argue with me and they never want to play any other games instead. For example, Foursquare. It seems like only 2 or 3 kids get to decide what game we play with the classroom ball, and I don't always get included. Why does this happen? What can I do to make recess easier and stop the struggle with my classmates?
Wow, that's a beautiful question, and it takes a lot of courage. And I would also say it's taken a lot of insight and even wisdom to be observing what's going on. So this person has identified that they're being excluded, that it hurts, that it's painful, and ways in which the bullies are kind of excluding them. You've talked about it's a small cohort, that there's certain games where they're trying to get you out right away to exclude you or don't even include you in the game at all. And so by understanding that and seeing that and knowing that that hurts, now you kind of said, hey, I want to learn from this. So congratulations, that's fantastic. Now, there's a couple of possibilities here. Well, there's actually a lot of possibilities. One, these kids could be just mean, and they've just decided to pick on you for all sorts of possible reasons, all right? See if you can identify those reasons. Sometimes those reasons are that you don't make eye contact, you don't stand up for yourself, you don't have a voice, so you're an easy person for them to bully. And again, kids learn how to be good friends by sometimes not being a good friend. So they play in the whole spectrum of being a really manipulative bully all the way through to being an awesome ally and friend. And so kids are learning as they go along. So if they're bullying you and you think that you're doing some behaviors that are kind of magnetizing the bully towards you or making it easier for them to bully you, or they're actually choosing you over other kids because they think you're, again, an easier target, then those are good things, again, to observe and try and figure out. Sometimes you can even ask one of them in isolation if you think they're approachable. You know, I feel like you don't really want to include me in a game. Can you explain to me why? And they may not tell you. They may not know why they're doing it. Or they may just say, yeah, you're a know-it-all in class, or you're this or you're that, or you're the teacher's pet. When they tell you those things, some of those things you might go, that I can change. And some of those things you might go, I don't want to change that. Like being called a teacher's pet. So the teacher likes me, maybe I do well in school, and you're putting me down for that? Well, does that mean I should flunk out to make you feel better? Or that I shouldn't answer questions and raise my hand in class? Sometimes kids are picked on for what they wear, how they dress, how they do their hair, all sorts of things. So let's say a kid comes to school and they're wearing some ethnic dress, something to do with their culture, and other kids are putting them down. Do you really want to not be who you are so you can be accepted? In other words, do you want to be accepted for somebody who you're not really? It's not who you are. So these are a lot, it gets really in depth, but I would go back to the basics again. First of all, try and not take their rejection personally. And yet at the same time, try and learn why they might be rejecting you. Are there things that you can learn about yourself to make yourself a better version of who you are? That's what the gift of the bully is. They help you to learn to be a better person, more honest, more fearless, more courageous, more willing to talk about your emotions, more willing to be able to withstand, to be resilient, to withstand kids who are putting you down, and to not put yourself down. In other words, whoever you are that's asking this question, you're in good company. You're with millions of people on this planet who feel the same way right now in their life, and they could be your age or they could be my age. All right. And so you're not alone. Know that, and know that it won't last forever. Things will change. And the only power you really have is to continue to love yourself, respect yourself, do the best you can. Right now, pandemic, recess is difficult for you. It's a real challenge. So you can take it, you can wrap it up as a tragedy and say this is horrible, or you can say, look at it in a more positive reframe and say, I'm going to look at this as an opportunity to learn and grow, even though it's painful. and just do your best. I think this question also would require more talk, more coaching, more me finding out more information from you so that we can hone it down a little bit, but that would be the basics. Thanks, Mary.
All right. So what do you do when somebody cyber bullies you?
Thank you. Again, another excellent question. Cyberbullying has taken bullying that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years and put it out into a realm where now it's not just your small community where you're being bullied, which is equally as tragic, because if you were in a small little village of maybe 100 people and you're being bullied by the majority of the kids in that village, and there's no other villages around, you can see how devastating that might feel. There's nowhere to go. In our bigger world, where we're usually in small communities, but we have a lot of other communities around us, our social reach is bigger. We can go out, and if we don't have a bunch of friends in our neighborhood, we can go beyond our neighborhood to create friendships. So in some ways, our larger world, which includes technology, which makes our larger world smaller in some ways, like here I am talking to you, and I'm not even in the province, you know, I'm further away. So it's me being able to be right in your living room with you, emails, you know, all the forms of social media, Facebook, TikTok, everything, all of that, texting. It is a huge, wonderful resource for all of us, and it brings us closer together. But it also puts bullying out there to a lot more people. But if you can put it into context, like if, for example, let's say a kid is picking on me because I have polio and I can't walk, or I have, let's take a more recent one. Let's say I'm being picked on because I'm 13 years old and I got terrible acne. I got pimples all over my face, my neck, and my shoulders. And I'm trying to learn how to control it, but it's there. I have to deal with it. And so kids are really picking on me because they feel they can. And those kids who want to cause harm are going to cause harm. If I'm in a really small community, I may have nowhere else to go, but I'm also, the number of people that are picking on me are right there in my community. It's close. There's almost always going to be somebody who looks beyond your pimples and sees the real you and cares about you. But it's not being talked about throughout all of Canada or worldwide. Whereas cyberbullying, nasty pictures, rumors, jokes, all that sort of stuff that could go on the web, that can go throughout the world. But remember, the world doesn't know you. They see your picture. Do you think they're going to be able to even remember your picture? So it becomes something like, well, this is a real life example about the dancing man. So this guy, he's probably in his 30s. He loves to dance. Someone took a video of him. He's not your typical like stylish dancer. He doesn't have really what people might call, you know, fantastic moves on the dance floor. But he was a person who just loved to dance. And yeah, maybe he looked goofy on the dance floor. But his video of him dancing went viral. And all the people who were putting out this video and the people responding to it, some of them jumped on the negative bandwagon and started to make fun of him. And this went viral for weeks. But most of the people out there, they don't even, first of all, they don't even care. They go, why are they making fun of this guy? He just likes to dance. So there's always going to be people out there who will love you, who will care about you for who you are, not though that specific group who's trying to gain more friends and popularity by trying to sacrifice somebody else. I mean, how mean is that? It's hugely mean. So if these people are trying to cyber bully you, you know, they're not your friends. They could be your friend potentially in the future, but they're not acting like a friend. And so now you know who your friends are. It's not them. And you can think this is horrible because it's gone out to so many people, but again, it dies down really quickly. Usually it dies down very quickly, especially if you don't give it any fuel. You just move on. You don't have to be on your tablet or your phone. You don't need to be following negative stuff about you. You can just let it go. So the dancing man, he was still dancing, but he got the attention of a lot of other people who said, we are allies, we support you. And they actually put on a concert for him where he was the guest honor, and they talked about bullying, and they had people on dancing, and they weren't all professional dancers, and they interviewed him. And he said in the interview, I was devastated at the beginning because it seemed so hurtful. But then I realized there were so many other people out there who care about people like me, who are just trying to be me and trying to be kind and are not out to hurt anybody. And I got all this love and respect back in return from them. So whether you're in a small community or on the world stage, there's always going to be people that will care about you. Cyberbullying is you're trying to weather the storm of some mean and hateful people, but don't get caught up in the hate. Let the hate go. Don't tune into it. If they're cyberbullying you on Facebook or something, let that account go. Drop it. Especially if it triggers you and gets you really upset, then let it go. If you're at the point where you can say, hey, I don't care about that. They don't make me feel good about me or not good about me. That's my choice. If you're that way, then you can still take a look at what they're posting about you. But if it's getting you angry and getting you all upset, I would just let it go. There's a girl that was cyberbullied by a group of previous friends, and they just decided for whatever reason, I don't know, to target her. And they really kind of almost put the whole school against her. Now, this girl actually lived in Calgary. And what she decided to do is, instead of getting mean and fighting them back on cyberbullying and saying mean things about them, instead of approaching them and saying, why are you doing this to me, and getting all upset with that, she looked at why they might be bullying her. She kind of decided that she couldn't understand. She didn't think there was too many things right now that she needed to change about herself. She talked to others to get their opinion. And then she decided to just be kind back. So she went into the school, and she decided one day she would go. It was a relatively small middle school. She decided to write out on sticky notes something kind about everybody. And in a week, she covered everybody's locker and all the teachers' doors. And as an example, like, let's say the science teacher just wrote, I love your class. You make me laugh. Thanks, signed her name. She did this over 2 weeks. But the interesting thing she didn't exclude the bullies. The bullies had lockers really close to hers. They used to be her friends. Instead of excluding them, she actually wrote something that she could write that was honest about them. All right, something she had liked about them in the past or whatever, or just wishing them well. All right. So when she did this, she found out that, first of all, everybody in the school just got really excited and thought, wow, I could do something like this too. I can do little acts of kindness as well. But the bullies just stopped. I think it just created an awareness for them. Not all bullies will stop. Some will be really persistent in pushing you. And if they do, go back to that team approach. Teachers, parents, Parents are a huge resource. So are teachers. Sometimes you got to give them more of a chance. Parents and teachers are like everybody else. They don't have all the answers. So they may struggle in trying to help you, but if they know, at least they can understand you and they can try and help. All right. And then of course you got, administrators, you've got police resource officers, you've got me. I'm in your corner all the time. I love to help out whenever I can. And then just keep working at it. If the bully's persistent, you be persistent. Be persistent in loving yourself and taking care of yourself. And again, cyberbullying, part of it is just turning it off. Back to you, please, Mary.
All right. So what do you do if somebody's trying to take all of your friends away and won't let you play with them?
First of all, acknowledge that they should not have that control. We shouldn't have control over other people, their decisions, how they feel about themselves, and their ability to be independent and do their own thing. When bullies do the act of bullying, those harmful acts, trying to get other kids to ignore you or reject you or whatever, it's their desire to control you. When they can control you, the major thing they use to control you is fear. So in this case, fear that you won't have friends, fear that everybody's going to push you away, fear that you'll be alone, fear that you're never going to be liked. And if they can get you to be afraid, if they can get you to be scared, typically you then can become a victim. And victims become invisible. Typically, they pull away. They stop doing school's activities or sports or trying to be friendly. They almost find that being invisible creates less pain. And sometimes that's true. They just kind of withdraw into the background. If you're becoming invisible, though, to withdraw so you're not getting hurt, you're just exchanging one pain for another. Now I'm not being picked on and made fun of, but I'm also not in the world in any way where I can socialize with people and get that, because we're social animals. We get a lot of our enjoyment and satisfaction and love from interaction with other people. It's really important for you to understand there's always somebody there that will love you, whether it's a parent, if you've got a single parent, a brother or sister, a kid your age. And sometimes it may feel like you're completely alone, but even when you're completely alone, be yourself, be your own best friend, love yourself, carry yourself through that difficult time. So when this bully is trying to get everybody else to go against you, be kind to them. Not in a needy way, not in, I need you to like me, please let me into the games, and acting weak in some ways. Don't be needy. Needy is the bully's way of going, oh, I see they're afraid, and they continue to bully. So if you can feel your fear, it's okay to be afraid, but it's not making the choices based on your fear. That's the big problem with fear. Everybody on the planet, no matter how courageous you are, feels fear. Just try not to let the fear make your decisions. So for example, I might be afraid I might not have friends at school. I acknowledge that I'm afraid of that. Now, what can I do to be positive about this and to actually be friendly, to be a better friend, so I actually attract other people who want to be my friend? How can I learn to go up to people and say hi and be friendly, be more friendly, rather than always expecting people to do that to me? So again, the bully is giving you an opportunity to overcome your fear. That doesn't mean you don't feel it. It just means that you recognize it and then you decide what to do. If I'm making a decision based on fear, like I'm never going to have any friends, I'm going to be alone and sad, then you may decide to go ahead and just allow that to happen and to pull away. And I bet you every kid that's listening here and every adult that's on this Zoom has seen kids that just, and even adults that just pull away and leave life and spend the rest of their time on social media or on their computer or alone in their room. And it doesn't have to happen. That's not the bully's fault. That's us. We made that decision. The bully wasn't helping for sure, but it's how we approach that determines our future. How we approach this problem is going to become who you are in the future. So love yourself. Let those kids go if you need to let them go, but you can still be friendly to them and be as positive as you can and learn any characteristics that you have that may be attracting bullies. And of course, this is a big question and we can talk more about it if you wish, in person or on Zoom. Thanks, Mary.
All right, so we have a couple of questions for the from the adults. So the first one is, how do we equip a more quiet, shy kids against bullying? I'm having a hard time teaching my kids how to speak up for themselves.
Thank you. I remember reading this question, and this is a question that really would be helpful if we could talk more in person rather than this bigger format. However, I feel that being shy, withdrawn, it depends on why. So for example, some kids are just naturally, I hate to use the word introvert because it's often miscommunicated, but if someone is more quiet and more reserved, will listen way more than they will express themselves. We don't want to necessarily change that. That can be just a wonderful personality. When that person though is unable to have a voice, not able to advocate for themselves, won't speak up and let other people know what they really want, won't challenge other people's thinking or their unjust behavior, then they're allowing themselves to not be heard. They're withdrawing. Usually it's because they're afraid. And so, or they don't feel that they are worthy. They don't, their voice doesn't matter. Again, that goes back to a fear though. So this is a big topic. And one way to help kids to start to develop that ability to advocate for themselves, to have their own voice, to be someone who cares enough about themselves that their opinion matters, all right? Not more than anybody else's opinion, but theirs is equally important, is to first discuss that. Ask them those questions. Do you feel that you're just as valuable as anybody else on the planet? And it doesn't matter what their answer is, whether it's yes, I do, or no, I don't. The next question is, can you explain why? So if the kid goes, yes, I do feel I'm as valuable as anybody else on the planet, then the parent might say, okay, can you back that up? Why do you feel that way? This helps the child to reflect and reinforce that feeling, because they may be telling you what you want to hear, or they may be truthful about it, but they may not even understand why they feel that way. So it's, is it true? And why is it true? You're helping your child to be more reflective and thoughtful so that they kind of have some of those backed up beliefs when they're addressing bullies in life, so they can start to have the courage to speak up. Another aspect of this is if the child says, no, I'm not as valuable, then again, can you back that up? Why are you not as valuable? So now the parent can actually challenge the child's thinking. And often in doing that, they can say, I appreciate that you feel this way, and I want you to try and prove it to me, because I don't see that. I see you as just as valuable as anybody else. So for a child to have a voice, they first have to have that inner voice that is starting to acknowledge that they are a person of greatness, just like everybody else on the planet. Lastly, give children every opportunity to celebrate the little tiny voices that come out. So teaching them just to introduce themselves to somebody, encouraging them to speak up, asking them to have a voice in like, hey, we're going to watch this movie. What movie do you want to watch? And really encourage them to not displace their opinion and give up the choice to other people, but to say what they want and then celebrate it a little bit. Because people who've lost their voice, they need to get it back, usually in gradual baby steps. We're running out of time, so I'm going to just take this back to Mary, and then I'll just give a couple of wrap-up words and then go from there.
Sir, is it possible that you could answer just one more question before you go?
I have all the time in the world here, so.
Awesome. So there is a few more questions that perhaps could be answered in a newsletter or some sort of way of communicating, email or something that we haven't touched on. But this one was sent a bit ago, so I'd like to get it out. How to encourage your child to let you or a teacher know if this is happening. My child doesn't have faith that the teacher will help to stop the action of bullying.
Yeah, I think we need to trust our kids. And when a child says, I don't think this teacher is going to help, instead of saying, well, you know, they will help their teacher. And then the child is thinking, you know, I'm telling you how I feel and you're judging how I feel. And so they're even less likely to talk to you. I think it's important that we accept what the child is saying, even not saying it's right. It's just, if this is your feeling, then thank you for expressing that to me. Maybe you're correct. Maybe this teacher will not be a good ally. And so what else could we do? Are there other teachers in your community, in your school, that you feel could help you? They don't need to be necessarily your grade teacher, your homeroom teacher, your guidance counselor. They could be somebody else. There's usually somebody in your sphere of people that you can go to that can help you. And so who is it that you trust? As you're developing your team of allies, it's important that the child is really involved in accepting who is going to be an ally on that team. Encouraging your child to actually come to you when they are being bullied, that is, I think, a huge important role that parents need to address, is to say, parents need to be vulnerable with their kids. They need to tell their kids when they messed up. They need to tell their kids maybe when they've been bullied, if they have been bullied. They need to try and create that emotional safe place for the child to be able to tell them anything. And to just even express it over and over again. I want you to feel comfortable telling me anything. But if the parent never tells the child anything, if the parent never expresses when they're in pain, or when they're confused, or when they don't know what to do, then the child feels like, I don't have the right to complain. My mom and dad never complain. They never show me when they're upset or when they're in pain. They protect me from that. So they're probably going to find it difficult to approach you in that way. So part of getting your kids to come to tell you this is lay it out for them. I want you to be able to tell me anything. I'm going to do my best not to be judgmental or give you a lecture. I'm going to try and listen to you, and let's deal with it together. And I probably will make mistakes, and I'm open to you telling me if you think I can do a better job in my role of supporting you as a parent. Another aspect of this is helping the child understand that when they come to you, it takes courage to do that. They're not tattling. Tattling is when a child wants to get another child just into trouble. I'm tattling on my younger brother because they did something we were told not to do. And I take delight in seeing my parents punish my younger brother or sister. Tattling is self-serving, usually in a negative way, but talking to people about being bullied would be like me telling the police that I got mugged on Saturday night when I went to my car, or that I was attacked, or that someone robbed my house. If someone robs my house and I don't say anything, those robbers are more likely to continue to rob more people. So it actually takes courage for adults and students to go ahead and stand up to bullies and say, hey, this is wrong. I don't agree with it. And I'm not going to stand for it in the best way I can. So I'm going to bring this bad behavior into the light so more and more people see it. And then the bully is no longer being silently supported by all the observers who don't do anything. You've probably heard the saying, I think it's a great saying to teach to kids, bad things are going to continue to keep happening unless good people do something. So it's not just about being a good person, it's about when you see injustice that you try and do whatever you can to stand up to that injustice and turn it around. So please come talk to me if you're being bullied. It's pretty normal for almost everybody to feel that way at some point in their life. Thanks, Mary.
Awesome. Well, that is our time for Bully Proof this time. I want to thank everyone for coming. It's so great to see you guys. And please stay tuned for what we have wonderful that's coming in December. Instructor Chris, do you have anything that you'd like to say last minute?
Yeah, thank you. I'm very passionate about this topic, and I think it's such an important thing for parents to sit down and laugh and cry with their kid about bullying that's happened to them, about bullying that's happening now. Your kid may be a very, popular kid in school and not be experiencing bullying now, but is going to go through some later on in high school, in university or college or at the workplace. Bullying is prevalent everywhere. And so learning about it with your family, there's just no better support group typically for you to just dive in and understand that bullying can make every aspect of your life better, because it's bullies that teach us to understand our fears. It's bullies that teach us to understand our insecurities, like crooked teeth or pimples or not being a big kid in sports or whatever it happens to be. Bullies help us to learn that we can actually love ourselves and be our own best friends, and that we can overcome adversity, and that we're resilient, and that we can speak up for ourselves, and that we can even protect others, and that we're stronger in groups, that we're stronger with other people. In other words, 2 brains and 2 hearts are better than 1. So bullying is a great gift, and it's also painful. And I'm not acknowledging that it's not supposed to be. So if you're in pain, you're on the threshold of greatness. You're right at the cusp of learning something super valuable that can help the rest of your life be more enjoyable, be more happy. That no matter where you go, if people don't accept you, you accept yourself. And then through that self-acceptance, other people start to see the real you. And you will always have people that can see the real you. Thank you. Please remember that the biggest bully-proofing tools are awareness, confidence, and self-love.